Richmond made international headlines last summer when former police chief Gerald Smith and Mayor LeVar Stoney announced that Richmond police had foiled a mass shooting plot for the 4th of July. Now, one of the two men accused but never charged is breaking his silence and speaking exclusively to CBS 6. CBS 6 investigative reporter Laura French is here now to talk about her latest Problem Solvers investigation. Thank you for joining us, Laura. And who is this person you're talking to, and what was his involvement in this whole thing?
Well, as you said, that the 4th of July mass shooting plot, this just came days after a mass shooting in a Chicago suburb. You remember that the then police chief Gerald Smith, he had told of this mass shooting plot. You know, the entire community was on edge. 2 foreign nationals were in custody at that time. One of those individuals was Roman Balcarcel-Ak. You know, we had heard from everyone except for these 2 men that were in custody. So I took it upon myself to write both of these men who were behind bars. And Roman actually called me back and said, I want to talk to you. There was something about your letter that made me get back in touch with you. I'll be honest with you, I was shocked that he called me back. And I said, okay, let's get it done. But it wasn't that simple, Cheryl. We had to go through a lot of hoops to get this interview.
It never is that simple.
It's never that simple.
As it sounds. So he was willing to talk. How open was he in these conversations that he had with you?
He was just a regular guy. He was very open because, like as I said, we had heard from everyone except for him. There was so much that he wanted to say, but the first thing he said was, I'm not that guy that you have seen across the globe. Remember, his mugshot had been aired literally across the world as this terrorist, right? And that's not who he is, he said. Who he is a father of 4 who had come to this country, and this was put in documents, in court documents, on both sides, on the federal government side and on the side of his attorneys, who had come to this country. His parents came from an upper middle class family who had come to this country, who was trying to escape organized crime because they had come after him for his parents' money, he said. He had literally been beaten in Guatemala for that money. And I'm not justifying him coming here illegally, but he had come to this country for the 3rd time illegally. But he says he came here to work hard. He had worked 7 days a week in Charlottesville as an electrician. So that is why he said he was trying to, you know, just work hard, not make a political statement and carry out a mass shooting.
So, as we mentioned, he was never charged in this 4th of July plot at all. What did he tell you, if anything, about his interactions with police when it came to the investigation of that particular incident? He
said that Richmond police carried themselves very professionally when they came to his door. Nothing to say about that. He did say, however, that when they showed him a picture of himself, it was not him. So, because I said, you lied to them when they showed you that picture. He said, no, I didn't. That was not a picture of me. So when they came there and they arrested his roommate, he said, I'll be honest with you, you know, they let me stay there. So that's why I was so confused that 4 days later they arrested me in Charlottesville. All I was trying to do was get Julio a lawyer. So when they came 4 days later, I was so confused because I didn't have those weapons. And again, he was never charged with a weapons charge. I was just trying to get who he called Uncle Julio. That was like a father figure to him. I was so confused as to why they arrested me. In fact, they tried to get me to sign some paper, and I'm like, I don't know what paper this is. So very confused at that point because he was never charged a weapons charge. He was never charged in this mass shooting plot, nor was, you know, his roommate. The only thing he was charged with was entering this country illegally.
And that's why he's currently being held.
He no longer is being held. He was released on December 19th. But yes, that is why he served that 6-month sentence.
Okay. So as far as the plot is concerned, once you talked to Balcarcel, did you talk to Richmond police?
No, not. I mean, we've talked to Richmond police several times. Never, ever could they prove that he was affiliated with that plot. But again, we interviewed Chief Smith several times, even after the Fed said he was not involved in that, you know, and he kept maintaining that, you know, they knew that these 2 individuals were involved in that, even after the Fed said that they weren't.
You said this was a very emotional conversation. We're going to
Yes.
see much more of it tonight in your investigation at 6 and 11. Thank you, Laura.
Yes, of course.
All right. Watch Laura's Problem Solvers investigation tonight on the CBS 6 News at 6 and 11. Right now, kind of a great